Hello and welcome to the bazaar. Today we're going to make Junimo pins. The only supplies I'll be using today are some colored acrylics and some magnetic pin backers. We'll also be using our laser cutter and our computer. So here we have the Photoshop document that I made, and all I did was look at a screenshot of the game Stardew Valley and made this really basic pixel art, low resolution Photoshop document. And when you're engraving on acrylic, you really want to keep colors to a minimum and very high contrast. When it comes to engraving on acrylic, it's kind of all or nothing. When laser burns it, it turns white. So the black is what's going to be burnt, and the white's what's not going to be burnt. And this light gray, really what's going to happen is in light burn, it's going to be a dithered, um, it's going to be a dithered gray. So I'll show you that in light burn. But you really don't want to have a bunch of gradients or anything like that. It just doesn't reproduce well in acrylic. But for our pins, we can get away with just a little bit of detail. So to make it easier on ourselves in light burn, I'm going to make this picture just a silhouette so that we can make the cut file. And I'll show you what I mean right now. So I went ahead and made another layer on top of our drawing so that it's just black and white, okay? And then I'm going to use a screenshot, which on Windows is Shift Windows S, just so you know. And we're going to take a little snippet of just the Junimo, and we're going to paste that into Lightburn. Okay, so now we have our silhouette of our pin, and we're going to go ahead and trace this image. And Lightburn does a good job of being able to see high contrast areas. So this black and white makes it really good. And you can see it's a little bit hard. There's a pink perimeter around our subject, and you can adjust your threshold to better accommodate your particular image. But you can see it's perfectly following the stair steps of the pixel art, which is exactly what we want. And we're no longer going to need the actual picture for the cut file. So we're just going to have the delete image after trace, hit OK, and voila, just like that, we can see we have a cut path. And that's really great, but we don't want something like this where we have 2 points that are right next to each other. This would just fall right off, right? And plus, we don't want the pin to be all pokey and sharp. So I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller real quick. First things first, I'll make sure that it's locked proportion so that nothing gets all screwy. We're gonna shrink it down a little bit. And then to make the actual perimeter of the pin, what we're going to do is use the offset shapes tool. And this, imagine a balloon gets inflated. And this is how we're going to make the actual body of the pin. And so you have a couple options. Do you want the offset to be inwards from where we have the path, outward, or both if you want to make like a shell of something, but we're just going to do outward. And then we can see how the corners are handled. Are they going to be beveled where they see that I have that like a chamfer? But we want it nice and smooth, so we're going to hit round. And you can see now we got nice smooth transitions. And you can adjust this to whatever you feel looks best. I'm thinking probably something like that. And we don't really have to worry about the size because we're going to resize this anyways. And then we don't really need the original path anymore. So we can delete the original objects if you want, or you could, just keep them on a separate layer and disable that layer so you don't accidentally cut it out. But I'm just gonna delete it right now for clarity's sake. I'm gonna hit OK. And voila, we have the shape of our pin. And then all we're going to do is overlay the engraved image on the cut path. Okay, so we're going to go back to our Photoshop document. We're going to disable that silhouette layer, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take a screenshot of our Junimo, like this. Shift Windows S on a PC, and you see we got that. And we're going to paste that right on our Junimo, and we're just going to get them to be about the right size. And what's great is if you turn off output, it grays it out so you can still see where you're placing it. So now we can see how we got this fit in there. So that's looking pretty good. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and that looks great. Nice balance. So then I'm just going to group everything, make it easier to work with. And I'm going to go ahead and lay out these pins, and I'll be right back. Anyone that orders from Amazon knows how many boxes they get, and one of the best use cases I found for them is templates. I just use a box cutter to cut the sides off, and then I have flat pieces that I can use to line up my pieces in the laser cutter. So here you can see I'm just making sure that I know exactly where the cardboard is placed. So I've got this layer right here. If I right click it, you'll see it flashing. This is just to cut the cardboard so that I can fit the piece of acrylic in it. I designed this cut file so that the acrylic will hold exactly 4 pins stacked on top of each other like this. So you can see, so I'm going ahead and frame a couple of times, make sure that I see exactly where everything is. I'm going to resize so I don't need to cut into the emptiness. It won't hurt anything, but it's just not necessary. I'm going to frame again. Okay, excellent. And now that the cardboard is cut, I can go ahead and switch off the output for the perimeter. And then I'm going to turn on the cut and the engrave image layers so that we can go ahead and start going. I know my acrylic is 3 millimeters thick, and on the OhmTech Polar, the way you do it is you set the distance of the Z height offset from 17 millimeters by the difference. It's a really strange situation, but that's how you do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and lower my lens 14 millimeters. I'm gonna do that like this. And then as soon as that's done, you can get position and you'll see that the Z will be 14. If you're curious of the settings I'm using for the cardboard, I'm doing 15 millimeters a second at 35% power, just one pass. For the acrylic cutting, I'm doing 10 millimeters per second at 40% power and 2 passes. And I've measured the kerf on my laser, and an offset of 0.15 millimeters gets everything almost exactly perfect. And then for the image, I'm going to use Jarvis at approximately 400 dpi at 300 millimeters per second and 27.5% power. Now, all these settings are going to be completely dependent on your personal laser. Not even the same machine will have the exact same settings. So you're going to have to do a lot of validation and calibration to see what best suits your machine. I'll make a video going over that process in a little bit. Now let's check in on how the Junimo pins are coming out. And now that the first round of Junimo pins are done, what's really cool about the Polar is that it saves the last job in the memory of the machine. So we're actually done with the laptop now, and we can just replace the acrylic and hit go on the Polar, and it will do the exact same job it just did. So it'll cut the Junimo pins out and then engrave the images. Now that we have our Junimo cut, we need to peel the acrylic coating on the back. We need to peel the acrylic paper protector on the back off. You see we have a shiny surface there. And then we take one of our magnetic pin sets. So this is the side that goes in your shirt or in your bag. And this is the side that goes on the pin. And we just peel off the sticker coating, line it up, and press. Now you don't have to, but I find using a little clamp like this just to add some pressure gives me a little bit more security knowing that the pin is going to be well adhered. And then we just do that for the rest of them. Unironically, this is the hardest part of the process, getting the paper backing off this acrylic.
And just like that, we're all done. I hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see you next time at the bazaar.